Hi YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Sports RNP. First of all, I want to apologize for not uploading this on Sunday. I wasn't feeling that great yesterday, so I've moved it a couple of days along. Now we have a lot to talk about again this week. It's been very busy. So the sports I'm going to focus on are NFL, soccer, a hockey controversy, and I'm going to be touching on some cricket a little bit. So we had the NFL Championship round this past Sunday, and it was absolutely amazing to watch. We had Denver playing New England in the first game, where Denver beat New England by a score of 20-18. Peyton Manning beats Tom Brady. Oh, I'm so happy. I really wanted that to happen. Now Peyton Manning can go off, winning a second Super Bowl. He really needed it for his career. The guy has every single record you can possibly have almost, but he only had one ring, and that was always going to be a knock against him. But if he can finish with two, he'll definitely has to be in the conversation of best quarterback ever. The second game was Arizona versus Carolina. Carolina won that one 49-15. I don't think anyone could have seen that coming, to be honest. I mean, the score, maybe Carolina winning, but not by a score of 49-15. That difference is absolutely huge. Cam Newton was just a monster, threw for over 300 yards, scored 2 running touchdowns. I mean, doesn't really get much better than that. The Super Bowl is going to be crazy. It's 2 Sundays from now. We're going to have Peyton Manning versus Cam Newton, a young guy versus an old guy. It's going to be very interesting. My personal pick, I'm going to go with Denver. I don't think a video would be complete if I didn't talk about the Premier League, or at least some football from somewhere in the world. But anyways, I'm going to focus on the Premier League this week because we had a couple of big things that happened. Firstly, we had Arsenal versus Chelsea. The game ended 1-0. Chelsea beat Arsenal. It's like the 6th time in a row or something where Arsenal have not scored a goal against them in the Premier League. That stat is ridiculous, and Arsenal need to change that. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing to have a streak that long. But, I mean, they got a red card in like the 18th minute because Mertesacker is not fast enough to play in the Premier League anymore, or at least not fast enough to play for a team like Arsenal. They definitely need, I think, to upgrade him. They need someone a bit faster, someone a bit smarter. Someone who doesn't dive recklessly in the 18th minute with a whole game ahead of you, knowing you're going to get a red card. Stupid decision by him. Thought it was a pretty obvious decision. It was a red in my opinion. Obviously the referee saw it that way. And I mean, Arsenal tried in the second half. They really attacked, but at the end of the day, it's so hard to win with 10 men against a team that was pretty organized in Chelsea. So that was a good result for them. And then the second thing I want to touch on is Manchester United's game against Southampton. So Manchester United lost 1-0 to Southampton, and I think at this point I am prepared to say #LVG Out. I mean, it's been way too long now. I just read somewhere that we are now officially, at this point, we were higher in the table, or we had more points at least under David Moyes than we do right now under LVG. And David Moyes had spent, I think it was about £45 million, and this guy has spent over 250. So obviously his signings have been bad, the team's been playing bad, the organization's bad, and he keeps saying things like, oh, we're not giving up chances, but you're losing games. And if you're losing games, it doesn't really matter how many chances you give up. If you're not going to score a lot, then the very least you have to do is just clean sheet after clean sheet. But they haven't been able to do that for a while now. They had a good start at the beginning of the season where they were winning games 1-0 and stuff. But that's gone now because obviously we have 5 fullbacks injured, which is the most ridiculous number I've ever heard. But that's no excuse. You got to keep going. You got to still play. Our forwards are still all healthy, and we just can't score. And to lose 1-0 at home against Southampton, I mean, it's bad. Like you can't do that. And we've lost way too many games at home under LVG. I thought it couldn't get worse than David Moyes. Now I think I can say it has. It is definitely worse because under David Moyes, even though we were bad, I felt like we were a little bit more exciting. Couldn't be by much because we still sucked, but it was definitely better than this that we're doing right now, which is probably the worst. I mean, I don't know. I think the only teams we're better than in terms of style of play is maybe Sunderland. Can't really think of anyone else off the top of my head because everyone else at least tries. We seem to not even try. It's just, oh my God, it's really, really frustrating. I think I want him gone at this point, and I would really like, I would appreciate and allow Jose Mourinho to join the team. At the beginning, I was reluctant, but I have to say he's a world class manager. I've heard there's rumors that he wants to come to United, and if not him, then who else? I mean, there's Pep Guardiola, but it looks like he's going to Manchester City, so really, he's our last option, and he's definitely not a bad option to have. So I think we need to go after him, and we need to do this now before the Premier League gets out of hand, before we start getting eliminated in all the other competitions that we're in. The Europa League's coming up. I really want to win that. Just a trophy would be nice at this point. And LVG, I'm pretty sure about this now, is not the man to get us that. Now on to the NHL. There's a controversy going around, and I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been all over the news if you follow hockey even a little bit. I'm talking, of course, about the John Scott controversy. So for those of you who don't know, John Scott was a player who played for the Arizona Coyotes. He was basically a fourth liner. I think he played 10 games up until like the 40th game mark or something. He obviously was not a big player, but the NHL did something different with their All-Star game this year. They had fans voting for the captains from each specific division. And when you let the fans choose, and they're going to have some fun with it. And they voted in, surprise, surprise, John Scott. I was really happy with it. I really wanted to see John Scott in the All-Star game playing with players who he probably can't keep up with. He's not going to be on their level, but it's still going to be a fun thing to watch, and I was pretty excited for it. But then the NHL snaked him. They completely betrayed him, and they basically made Arizona and Montreal trade the player. So Montreal gave them some guy, and then it's not even important. And then Arizona gave them John Scott, so just so he couldn't play in the All-Star game, and it's not fair. It's just not fair to him. This was the only time he was ever going to have some fun like that. He could have made $100,000 if he was on the winning team, but he ends up moving to Montreal, and he's not even in their farm team. Like, they're just completely not playing him. So you can tell why this happened. I mean, the timing was so obvious. It kind of makes me sad. I did not think that the NHL or any sports professional organization would attack a specific player like that, but obviously they got to protect their stars, I guess, because they did not let him play, and it's very disappointing to watch. I personally will not be watching the All-Star game this year in protest from my friend John Scott. Good buddies we are for a long time. We've known each other, but it's just, it's not cool. Not cool, NHL. Now I just want to rant for a second. Pakistan playing New Zealand and the third T20 and the first ODI. And man, those were such embarrassing performances. I mean, you kind of have come to expect this from Pakistan, that their batting is just not going to work. But at the same time, man, like, seriously? Seriously, you're going to do this? In the third T20, they lost by like 90 runs or something, which was just, it's not even funny. Like, how do you lose a deciding game that badly? Like, did you not want to win? And then we had the first ODI just on Sunday night. I guess here it was. But it was so disappointing to watch because, like, they lost by 70 runs, by the way. But how, man? Just go out there, just bat normally. I mean, New Zealand was 111 for 6 in their first innings. And they put up 280 runs somehow. So hats off to them. But then, like, so your bowling messed it up already. Like, they've already ruined it a little bit. But it's not over. Like, 280 is a completely chaseable target. You know what you need to do. Just play properly. But the first 6 batsmen, I think all of them just gave up their wicket for no reason. They just tried to hit a 6 when it was unnecessary. And we lost the games. And I'm 99% sure we're going to lose this series. New Zealand is the better team on paper. Like, I think we all know that. Like, I'm not fooling myself or anything. But at the same time, I was expecting a closer series. But still not as embarrassing as India losing 4-1 to Australia. So let's just remember that and go off on a high. Now, just before I go, I wanted to really quickly touch on one thing. This last week, I think it was last Sunday, we had Cleveland versus Golden State. I don't know if you guys watched it, but It was an absolute massacre. I don't think anyone, forget about the Carolina Arizona NFL game. No one predicted the result of Golden State versus Cleveland the way it actually turned out. I thought it was going to be a close game. I mean, I thought Golden State was going to win. I like them more than Cleveland. I'm not a huge LeBron James fan. You'll be able to tell that if you haven't yet. But uh, for Golden State to win by like 32 points, it was embarrassing. I have not seen LeBron embarrassed like this in a long time. I absolutely loved it. They have not beaten Golden State in like 4 games in a row, I think. So it's I just really wanted to put that out there because I'm really, really happy that LeBron James got slapped by Steph Curry and his men. Well, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. I would really appreciate a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and please comment for any suggestions on what sports you want me to talk about next time, or if you want to discuss any of the sports that I talked about this week. It would really go a long way. And as always, please hit the subscribe button. It'll help me grow my channel. I would really, really appreciate it. Signing off for Sports R&P, this has been Sharuk.